setting Washington's agenda. The Morning Majority, 5 to 9 on 630 WMAL.
737 WMAL. Brian Neiman, Jim Pethokoukis in the house this morning. Columnist, blogger for Reuters, also CNBC contributor. Pleased to have Katie McFarland back on the show, Fox News national security analyst. A lot of people missed you last week. I said, well, Katie's traveling. She's doing some research in Afghanistan. I do want to get to your trip, but AP reporting this morning that we're going to have a little shuffle with Leon Panetta moving from the CIA to Secretary of Defense, and General Petraeus moving from running the war in Afghanistan to head up the CIA. Your thoughts on those moves?
I think those are both brilliant moves.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of 3 wars now, and Panetta would be intimately involved with all of those. He's also got very good relations on Capitol Hill. And General Petraeus, if he were to take that job, and I think indications are that he is interested in that job, he would be an excellent choice. I met extensively with General Petraeus last week when I was in Afghanistan and asked him about the very question you've just posed. And he, without revealing a lot of the confidential conversation we have, he said that if you look at where the United States is going to be in the next couple of years, we're not going to be fighting ground wars in Asia or in the Middle East or in other countries. But what we will do is a lot of covert activities in areas that we want to be involved in. And I think I would add to that, Al-Qaeda, the war on terrorism, one of our most crucial weapons is intelligence. Mm-hmm. This is a new kind of enemy. Warfare now is not big land armies where you know which country they're coming from and you know what weapons they're using and you know what uniforms they wear. This is, you don't know who the enemy is. You don't know what he looks like. You don't know where he is because borders and nation states mean nothing to him. And you don't know what weapons he's using. And so I think intelligence is going to be one of the most crucial weapons that we have in fighting warfare in the next decade.
Well, KT, my concern is that Petraeus was sent to Afghanistan to sort of fix it. Mm-hmm. Would you consider Afghanistan fixed? And what does Petraeus leaving mean for that effort?
I think what he's done is, he's got the plan. When I was in Afghanistan 2 years ago, everybody I met, I asked, what's the mission? Who are the enemy? Well, how do you know you've won? And I always got different answers. There was no plan. There was just having troops there and sort of fighting. Now there's a plan, and the plan actually is a pretty good one. A plan realizes it's going to be a multi-year task. It's going to be extremely expensive. Petraeus, as he said to me, I know how to fight these wars. So I think that there is a plan. The question is not can we do it, it's should we do it. In the greater scheme of things, where a president has to set priorities, is this one of his priorities? Is this where he wants to?
But are you concerned that you've lost McChrystal? We might lose Petraeus. Are you at all concerned about the leadership there in Afghanistan?
It would be better if Petraeus were there. Yeah, he's a larger-than-life character. He's charismatic. He's brilliant. The people who work for him from high to low would follow him over hot, burning coals.
He's a very fast runner, too.
I didn't run with him. But he's one of the most extraordinary military leaders in American history. So, yes, that will be a deficit and a void, but if he can be used elsewhere in a bigger position to a certain extent, yeah, I think that's great. And believe me, anybody that they put in his place is going to be someone who carries out the Petraeus plan. And that plan was designed before Petraeus even went to Afghanistan. That was when he was head of Central Command.
All right, we have the plan, but are we executing the plan where it's actually working?
We are executing the plan. The problem with the plan is it's $2 billion a week for a long period of time. The plan is to train the Afghan military so that we can then slowly but surely start handing over our responsibilities to the Afghan military. To me, I'm a Vietnam-era person. This sounds a lot like Vietnamization. And the question is not so much, can it work? I think it would work, but it takes a long, long time. As one guy told me when I said, how are you doing training those Afghan troops? And he said, we're just great, but first we have to teach them how to read. Well, whatever anybody says, this is nation building. It is creating a middle class, a group of people who can govern the country at the provincial level, at the national level, an infrastructure which they didn't have, and a military and police and national police which they didn't have. So it's a heavy lift. And I think as a president, the military takes orders from the commander-in-chief. We have civilian control of the military. So the president says, fix the Afghan war. Petraeus will say, this is how you fix it, boss. But if the president needs to ask the question, is this war worth it? And that question, I don't think anybody's really asked.
But skepticism, even among Republicans, about Afghanistan has been rising.
Yeah,
and without Petraeus there, really the most respected modern military American leader, do you think that level of criticism and skepticism about the war effort there is going to increase and really undermine our commitment?
Well, I think it will anyway, and I think that the question will come really by the end of this summer, because the military guys and the president will say, let's see how the fighting goes this summer. We expect to see really significant changes. If you do not see those significant changes, then I think that the military advice to the president will be very different.
All right, changing topics to Libya. Where do you see this
stalemate?
Yeah. So what's going to happen? Are we just going to leave it up to NATO, or is it a possibility that the U.S. may get more involved in what's
Well, I think it was a dumb war to begin with, because
of course.
There was never a mission. There still isn't a mission. What's the goal? Get rid of Gaddafi? Become the rebels' army? Train a rebel army? Arm the rebel army? We still don't know what the goal is here. And so until you know what the goal is, until you know what your destination is, it's hard to know how to get there or when you got there.
But do you think there's a mission there we just haven't articulated? I mean, if you were president, would you define a mission there, or just there is no mission for us there?
I think it's the Obama doctrine: limited goals, limited resources, limited participation, and limited success.
And leading from behind.
Yeah, and you know what? In the military, that is the biggest criticism you can give to somebody, because that means you're a coward. If you lead from behind, you're a coward. You need to lead from the front and take the brunt of the battle. And the other thing is, ultimately, if you keep leading from behind and your position is weakened and weakened and weakened internationally, at a certain point, people are going to say, who needs you? We're going to follow somebody who's leading from the front.
All right, KT, great to have you on the show again. It was wonderful to catch back, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Okay, thanks, guys.
KT McFarland, Fox News National Security Analyst here on